One of the things I talk about in my book, Free to Focus, which is all about productivity, and the subtitle is about, a proven strategy for achieving more by doing less. So one of the keys to that is I really believe in daily rituals, and I advise entrepreneurs, business owners, any kind of leader to have at least 4 daily rituals. A morning ritual that sets you up for the day, a workday startup ritual that kind of segments some of those activities that could suck the life out of us, like email or Slack or Teams or any of those things, to have a time when you check that and then get out of those inboxes to do the real work that constitutes your job. Now, if you're in customer service or something, which probably nobody listening to this podcast is, living it in your inbox is probably what you do. But for the rest of us, we need that deep work, that focused work that we do that really moves the needle in our business. So workday startup ritual, then a workday shutdown ritual where I revisit my inboxes, just the maintenance kind of things, get caught up. And then an evening ritual that sets me up, to have a great night's sleep so that I can show up in the best way possible the next day. So that's like number 1. So daily rituals. Second thing I would say is this is like the biggest argument for having an executive assistant. I really believe in executive assistants. Now, there was a time in my career when I thought, I don't need no executive assistant. I can handle this all myself. Why do I need somebody else? Well, you mentioned Jim, my executive assistant. Jim loves the things I hate, and he probably hates the things I love. We're perfectly matched for each other. We're completely different. We have a whole framework called the Freedom Compass, which we talk about that, but we're on the opposite sides of the Freedom Compass, which is great. So what I do is I actually have 2 email inboxes. So this, you're going to have to extrapolate this for Slack or for Teams. But Jim has credentials to all my important stuff. And so the email inbox that I give out to the public is the one that Jim checks. I never check that one. So Jim tags me. We use a tool called, email tool called Spark, and he can delegate that to me if it requires my response. But we also work, this is kind of a third tool, is that not only 2 inboxes, but the third tool would be that we have a whole battery, a collection of email templates. Because I realized years ago that I was continuing to get the same kinds of requests over and over again. So maybe somebody would ask me to serve on a board, somebody would ask me for a donation to something, somebody would ask for time to have coffee and pick my brain. But there was a finite number of requests that I got. And so I noticed that sometimes when I was feeling generous, I would give a pretty thorough response. And sometimes, I just didn't have time and it would languish in my inbox. And sometimes I'd give a short, curt answer. And I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do, because I know there's only about 40 to 45 different requests that I get. Not going to do this all at once. I don't have time. But every time I respond to one of these requests, I'm going to respond in a thoughtful way so that that can become a template that I can just use in the future. Give it a personalized beginning, personalized ending, but it'll take all the thought process out of it. And this is like hugely important if you have difficulty saying no. So I'm a recovering people pleaser and still have a lot of work to do in that area. It's hard for me to say no, but if I have a template, it makes it that much easier. So one of the little hacks that I have on saying no is, here's what I say. I use this, and this is in Free to Focus. I have this yes, no, yes formula, okay? And so I try to affirm the person for making the request. Like maybe somebody says to me, because I knew I was in book publishing, they said, hey, would you review my book proposal? Which is asking me for basically 2 hours of my time. So here's what I'd say to them. I'd say, well, first of all, congratulations on writing a book proposal. So many aspiring authors never get to that stage. You've accomplished something that a very small percentage of people ever do. Congratulations. Then I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say it unambiguously. What I'm not going to say is, it's really a busy time. Could you check back with me in a couple weeks? That's a boomerang waiting to come back, right? So instead, what I want to say is something like this. Unfortunately, and this is unequivocal, unfortunately, I have to say no to your request. And this is the magic language. In order to be faithful to my other commitments, I have to say no. So everybody understands that. I've got other commitments, you know, and I want to keep those commitments because I want to be a person of integrity, and that means keeping my word. And so I have to say no. And then the yes part of that is, you know, just some well-wish, some other resource I can point them to if I have one. But when you put those in email templates, you can really be thoughtful and think, okay, if I was really trying to help this person, what would I send them to? Are there links on my blog? Are there programs that they could subscribe to? Is there something else that would give them help?